Hey everyone, how is everyone doing? Sorry, I apologize. On this Monday night, I just was finishing up some work because I've been lazy and sort of stressed out, depressed, as I said in my last podcast, because of the situation with my wife's visa. Hopefully, it works out. But it has sort of affected me, and I know it also has affected her, obviously negatively. But just keep your fingers crossed for us, and uh, and hopefully, something happens. If not, then I'm gonna go to Islamabad and then just spend some time with her. All right, everyone. How was your weekend? You had a great time, huh? What did you do? There was a lot of rain. First, the week was really like humid and hot up here, and then it just ran down. I think started Friday. But I guess, don't want to sound like a weather reporter, but I miss my wife, and she misses me too. Just keep us in your prayers and in your, thoughts. I presume you all had a great weekend. I'm sorry if this computer is making noise because the fan actually is blasting, I think. Is it like dying down? I'm not sure. Hopefully not. All right. So, as usual, I come home, woke up late today. Was hoping that I'll see my wife first here and then somewhere else, but then, the whole thing again, without repeating myself, has like stressed me out. But in any case, again, I'm sorry if you hear the fan sounding, the cooling fan of the computer. I had a little bit of food earlier. I had picked up from Whole Foods. And, you know, first things first, obviously, I don't have that, balance of life. Never really had one. Family, work, pleasure. And that actually does affect a lot of people, I think, balance of life. Saturday, actually, me and a friend of mine who actually lived downstairs in the building, we went to grab a drink over here at uh, at the high-end restaurant at the end of our avenue, Chapel Avenue, right? And so what else is new? So I was listening to also, obviously, this is what I do. When you're living alone, what do you do? Especially like weekdays. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going out on weekdays. That's it. Unless it's absolutely necessary. No. Even over the weekends, I'm going to try to not. Then because then it becomes a habit. Not good. Not good. Especially if you're alone. Uh, and I'm not in my 30s, even 40s to afford doing that, every fucking weekend. Or if I'm gonna do that, I'm just gonna basically just take it easy and stay out too fucking late. It's not good. It's never good, obviously, the hangovers next day, I mean, I just drink these Coronas, but still, um, at some point in time, I'm gonna get rid of this, hopefully. Uh, in any case, so I was listening to Rogan's podcast, and earlier I was listening to PBD, Patrick Bet Davis. He does a great podcast. He's a insurance, I think, company owner, right? I think he made some fucking money from that, and now I think that's what he does. He has a whole crew, and he had Russell Peters on. You know the comedian Russell Peters from, I guess he's Canadian, Indian Canadian, right? And so they were talking about a lot of things. I don't want to like, turn my podcast into like discussing what they were saying. But then this guy, he's a German author who was on Rogan's podcast. They were talking about, how like he just wrote a book on, like the LSD and, and how it was made in like in Sandoz lab, right? Remember? Not that you guys remember, but I mean, I have actually read a lot of books on psychedelics back in like early 2200s, 2000s, And I think psychedelics can be helpful for people who can actually, um, benefit from it. Especially like if you have, like, I think if you have, what do you call, like clinical depression and all that. And I think many people, including Elon Musk, doesn't he do that? Microdosing of LSD. So, yeah, how basically Germans and Swiss actually invented that, right? And then the whole like story after like World War II and all the experiments everybody did after it. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. And then Timothy Leary, he dropped out of Harvard and many others after doing LSD, I think for the first time, that they discovered like this other fucking realm. Or it changed the perception. Is that what it is? I don't want to sound like, I'm promoting or not promoting, or I am for or against psychedelics. Um, but you can't use psychedelics, as party drugs or something like that. They're not meant to be, they are meant to expand your conscious, give you a different perspective about life. And I think uh, basically sort of like also they help rewiring your brain. Is that what it is? Didn't Terence McKenna said that psychedelics, taking a psychedelic, the healthy one, not, I mean, well, psychedelics actually don't affect your body, except for like MDMA. It can give you depression, but the other ones, the natural psilocybin or LSD, it's like, you're updating the software in your brain, sort of, right? That was his take on that. I don't do them. Um, only thing I do is just like this fucking beer, but would would people should people experiment with them? I think one should take a psychedelic at least once in a lifetime, I think just to get that experience, and that actually gives you this like this whole like idea of like, you know, a different like sort of like reality feeling, if not, like, the visuals and everything else you see, let's say on psilocybin, right? So in any case, The the whole point. What is the whole point? No, I was just listening to the German author, and again, I'm not promoting or not against any of that stuff, but somebody actually has to come up with some sort of futuristic sort of like, you know, social lubricant kind of a, you know, substance, I think, that's not really like as poisonous as like fucking alcohol is, right? To the body. But something maybe, I don't know, who knows? I mean, if you think about how much progress we have made in like, pharmaceutical and 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 everything else, right? But nobody actually thinks about, okay, so we have this issue with fucking alcohol that actually affect your liver. So why don't we just come up with something that actually gives you the same effect of alcohol, but it doesn't you know damage your liver? I don't know. Who knows? I heard that the new generation, they don't drink a lot of alcohol, which is good for them. At least, keep your body clean, right? However, the alternative, what's the alternative? Are they smoking a lot of fucking weed? I have no idea. Because weed is now legal. But like smoking weed at an early age, no good. No good. I never smoked weed. Even when I was like in my college years, right? I never did any, like weed, alcohol wasn't available. Even in college years in a country like Pakistan, where I did my bachelor's from, right? And I remember when I came here for my master's, and we had these like young guys who had just graduated from their bachelor's who were doing masters with us. They would take us to these fucking frat parties. You know how frat parties are? So they will just set up the fucking like kegs of fucking beers. Jesus Christ. Um, I'm talking about like 22 years old, all right? Uh, but the what do you do? I mean, it's the fucking social lubricant, wherever you go. You go to a bar, you go to a restaurant, and that's how you socialize with people, you know. However, I don't want to like turn my podcast into that sort of discussion. But in the contemporary human society, you know, what do we have? I mean, alcohol has always been with us for a long fucking time, since the dawn of the fucking, what do you call, ages, right? Uh, Probably first brewed in like fucking Middle East. That's where we had the first civilization, right? They probably made it out of fucking, I don't know, whatever, right? Anything that has starch or sugar, right? You can make it out. But in any case, um, is that going to change in the next, I don't know, maybe 50 years? Who the hell knows what's going to happen? But the other addiction now we have is obviously phones. And we are just basically so dependent on them, you know. Sometimes, I have arguments with my wife. She says, "Oh, change the, what do you call uh, also, face the phone towards yourselves, etc., etc." Right? I'm just giving you an example, but it just becomes hard. It has actually just taken our lives to a point, and then you can also, you gotta be careful with these fucking phones, because then, you can also like text people with bad messages and this and that, right? And I just feel like that we have this technology now, and it also seems like we're waiting for something such as AI. Is that what it is? To rise from the ashes of the computers. Is that what it is? No. I think what's going to happen is that, based on statistics, right? I think even these phones are going to be obsolete, all right? Maybe in the next 15 years. I think it's going to be like some sort of a chip in our brain, right? Or something attached to our body, right? Which sounds even worse than like having a phone. Can you believe that? That now you got something that's with you like 24 hours. Is that what it is? Well, you got the phone 24 hours, so what's the difference? Um, it's all a matter of, us trying to make our lives better, and at the same time, well, not that we're trying to make our lives better, but also it's the convenience. It's the convenience. So what's next? What's next after these iPhones? AI? I don't know. I mean, not only iPhones, but other smartphones. But what is next? I have no idea. I think this probably is the stagnation of technology. And then I think it's going to be the software revolution, right? Um, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, 50 years, I won't be here. Many of you won't be here. All right. So another, uh, housekeeping item I wanted to say was that I thank you all for your well wishes, whoever I met this past weekend, for your, like whatever. Again, even if one word is sufficient to actually, provide this sort of like, I don't want to say the shoulder, but sort of like the sign of like a gesture, of assurance, whatever it is, that, hey man, everything will be all right, because for me, just at the acceptance part, again, including this sciatica thing, it's just hard for me. I don't accept things. Um, Everything will be all right. Jesus Christ, what song is that? So It's not easy to be away from your significant other, you know. Especially, I think it gets worse as you age because I'm not talking about, oh, you two are dependent on each other. Well, of course, you are dependent on each other. Uh, you know, uh, you are like the two wheels of a motorcycle. Is that what it is? So life, obviously, without sounding, cheesy or, you know, the obvious, that this is all part of grand scheme things of life, man. You know, all this is part of life. So you got to like you got to like accept things, suck it up, whatever it is, including this thing I have my nerve pain and all that, do whatever you can and just let the universe make it happen for you. And I think that's the mantra. That's the mantra. That's like the, ABCD, ABC of the human existence, the language of the human existence on this planet. Because some of the things that we don't accept when they happen, we become worked up. We become angry. We get stressed out. We get depressed and all the other things in between, right? And then one more thing I wanted to say was that when you start having something like sciatica, which is actually, I mean, I can still walk and, unfortunately, I can't play golf. I haven't played in like 3.5 months since April, which obviously makes me depressed. But this has also sort of given me a clue about mortality, that we humans have a limited time here, just like any other animals or any other whatever living things, right? So what does that mean? You gotta live your life, do everything you want to do, and without complain. Don't complain too much, and stop whining. And does it also make you sort of like humble? I think it does. It has, I hope. In the beginning, it was painful. I was just angry, even to this day, because of this fucking pain. But I think without sounding cheesy or whatever, obvious. I think I should actually be a little more thankful for life that, there are other people out there, who are dealing with like worse than this, you know. And so for me, hopefully, this becomes sort of a humble experience. Again, although, it also makes me worked up. And I, have been very active, playing golf or during the season, or hiking and all that, and then I have to basically, now meet my wife. Obviously, we have to be together until she comes here, at least briefly we have been together. And all these years, even before I got married, I started playing golf and this and that, right? And like, because I never had this. issue. And I also worked in construction industry, working. I'm not saying that I do construction with hands, but this thing just also gives me that like clue into the future that, man, listen, you thought that you'd be here forever, but well, this gives you the news, right? Some sort of, I'm not trying to be like negative and like stressed. Yeah, I mean, stress, life is always stressful, and the stress is always here, man. You know, and so that's all I wanted to say. That hopefully, just focus on life. Look at the positive things. Am I sounding too like, I don't know, yogic, whatever? Uh, maybe not. But I mean, if I don't accept these things, what the hell am I going to do? Like jump off the fucking window, you know? And talking to others, that actually helps a lot, you know? Talking to others and not be in your own fucking head. Although sometimes you need that like time, even those few moments by yourself, Um, and those moments are just what are when I think I have to sort of like make this my, what which we call a routine where, I just give myself like 2 minutes, even 2 minutes, you know, without judging myself or without looking at what I did in the past week or what I'm expecting, or what I have fears about, what's coming tomorrow, stress of work and this and that, and I had to do this, I had to do that, right? And my wife is not here, when I need her here, and she needs me, and all that, yes, the realities of life, reality check, you know. But then that moment, that 1 or 2 minute moment with myself, you know, just like be who you are, don't judge yourself, don't beat yourself for whatever the fuck has happened, in the past 2 weeks. Um, and so I have to basically just accept, I have to not accept, I have to make that some sort of a fucking routine, I think. Turning my podcast into some sort of like a fucking, so like something where, am I trying to sound like someone who he has just basically realized something in his life and is going to bring like a radical change? I know, but slowly, slowly is it, and the age also gives us the fucking wisdom, hopefully. At the same time, you can also feel like negative, like, okay, so if you start reflecting on your life, past life, okay, I've already lived almost like, even by Western standards, I have lived more than half my life. All right, so what have I done? So all these negative things come into your fucking head, you know. Yeah, I mean, I built a company and I almost went under through COVID. I survived. But what is like, okay, so, but I didn't, again, I didn't have that family sort of like the relationship was always like missing and, and I think a lot of us. especially in the Western society, feel that way. I know, I mean, I don't want to name the names, but I know a good friend of mine, him and I used to hang out all the time back in 2015, 14, 16. I think he went through some shit like that. He's older than me, you know. And and it's like, oh shit. Um, but then, oh shit, yes, I lived my life, but then, I wanted to do this, but I haven't. And I lived like half of my life, right? Maybe more than. But then you also have to look at is the glass half full or half empty? Means, okay, whatever life you have left, why don't you cherish? Why don't you just be positive without sounding someone who actually stays really positive. I don't, because sometimes I just get worked up, and it's like things annoy me, and I'm pretty sure many of you feel that way, six of my listeners. And life in this world can be fucking annoying as hell, you know. So that's why, you have to be like a rock in the ocean. And I'm not sometimes, it just becomes tough. And and again, if you don't have like three things in order in your life, I think especially for us guys, one is that, a good career, whatever your worker, if you have your own business, whatever business or your own, show that you're running, and then a relationship. And what's the third one, sir? And the third one is, I think, the the pleasure part, how you spend your weekends and et cetera, right? And and so if we don't have those, it becomes harder. Now, a lot of us actually probably, and I actually was going to basically spend the rest of my life before I met my wife. Probably most likely. The way I was going means just like, it's okay, man. You don't need to be in a relationship, but always in the back of my mind, that thing would linger, right? Oh, that the regrets of like, oh, I wanted to like have someone in my life that who loves me and I love her and et cetera, right? And obviously these are basic, like, I don't want to say needs, but these are like basic human instincts, you know, that you deserve someone. You should be someone that you deserve, and then she or he deserves you, and you deserve them, and why the fuck not? But some people actually they just don't want to bother, being in a relationship or whatever. I mean, maybe that's what they are comfortable with. So that means that somehow they've surpassed that, like, whatever uh, human, normality of how we have evolved, with families and, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about like traditional marriages and all that, because that really doesn't happen in Western societies. Although I think um, in the dualistic society in the Western world, uh, where the individual has basically control over their lives, obviously, right? What the hell am I saying? But the the need, or I'm not talking about like like that the dependence part, but if these three things are not in place for someone like me, you know, and many of you out there too, I think it becomes hard. Life just because you can't focus on other things, your pleasures, your whatever you want to do in your life, and maybe you want to make a little more money, maybe you want to expand your business, but you can't focus on that because now you have to focus on like finding someone, etc., etc., right? So these like, and then the whole like this rigmarole of like fucking living life, you know, again, life by default is a struggle as soon as you come here, right? That's the mantra. Uh, I think we are still a species. We might, who knows, integrate with the AI and somehow get rid of all these like negative things in our like lives. I'm not saying that completely we get rid of our whatever habits, but like at least the past part where you don't think about your fucking past, and but even like in the present moment when you are actually not satisfied with your life, you know um because again we are a species, although we are at the top of the food chain, right, among all other vertebrates. However, the basic, you know, human life cycle, it's still based on, our ancestor way of life, uh, after we, started agriculture, started having families, we came out of being hunter-gatherers, right? Now you gotta look out for your own, family. You gotta feed them first, right? And and then the happiness part, the happiness part is like if you don't have a big yacht, you're not happy. I'm not talking about that, but the the basic things in life, you know. Some of us actually realize that, oh, wait a minute, maybe I didn't, because I think for a long time I thought that maybe maybe I don't deserve someone in my life. Maybe somehow I'm too old. Maybe I am this and that, like it's not like I had just come out of the fucking prison, right? But somehow, we don't realize that that potential, and then, that worth we have, right? And that worth, I think, is our virtue, not fucking anger, because I think that just kills my fucking virtue sometimes, especially in the past 3 months, 4 months, And and then that whole thing of, you know, understanding ourselves first, what we want in our lives. What is it that's going to make us little happier? Why don't we do those things? Why don't we pursue those things, right? A little more make a little more money, more successful in your business, obviously, right? At your work and so I think as humans are still like species who are, like reward and like what is that thing called that I think the psychologists use or like at the experiment they do with the fucking mice, right? When they experiment on mice, they give them something to reward them, right, and see how they behave. Is that what it is? I think our primal behaviors also something like that. Like if I don't see any incentive, right, for me to get up tomorrow morning to go to work, or if I'm supposed to do something that I don't see any incentive in, why should I bother, right? Other things you do for other people, by the virtue of whatever empathy, is that what it is? I'm not doing anything for others. I'm just trying to put together my own fucking life. And that sort of that is true. That we always look for rewards and little happinesses in our lives, right? So what do we do? For me, obviously, right now I'm not in peace because my significant other is not with me. She's not home, right? That's really stressing me out. And we're trying our best to do this, do that, right? And the immigration obviously is just another like fucking wall you just basically, tussle you're against and, bang your head and nothing happens, right? So those like reward, I think the reward part is what we also have to look at life. You know, that well, if you do this, then you're gonna get like $100, right? I'm not talking about like you reward kids. Oh, if you do your homework. I'm talking about, when you are at like somebody at my age, and then you are basically still living your life as a cog in the wheel, right? So then at some point in time, and this is actually true, many of us, I think, you come home, maybe you are happy, maybe you're not happy with your job, but then you realize there are a lot of like dissatisfaction. I'm lonely. What am I doing this for? What's the incentive? What's the reward for me? So those things are the one actually makes us depressed. Hence, you go to the fucking pharmacy, whatever it is. I don't know, but that's true. You know, without turning my podcast into you know like too much self-reflection or why and what and the fears and the failing, all right, not delivering to your clients because that's one of my issues, right? Because construction here in New York City is extremely stressful. Everyone needs everything done right away, you know. So then what do? You got to keep the balance of life. You got to keep the balance. which I never had. I still don't. That actually really stresses me out. And like when I say cogging the wheel, it's like, okay, you're doing this, like, let's say 5 days a week, right? You come home and then you realize you're just in a fucking routine. Yeah, like in my case, I come home and then, I just would listen to a podcast, right? And then if I'm cooking, I'll cook some food. If not, then I'll order some food, I'll have a beer, and then I'll just get back on the computer, right? And then it just becomes that same routine every fucking day. And then that's like, some people say, what else do you want? I don't know. Maybe a little more excitement in life. I don't know. Sometimes then that just makes me think, and especially like these days with this whole issue with my wife's visa, it just makes me think, you know what the fuck am I doing this for, And that's not that then that yeah, that can actually just take you on a fucking like really dark path. I'm not talking about, just like, you know, I don't have any reward. That's true. If I'm doing all this every fucking week, what am I doing? But then, now I have to be a little more responsible, obviously, because, I'm now married, also responsible for me as well as for my wife. So I think that's something that I think both of us, we have to support each other. Through support, we have to realize, yes, you can't just like be out 4 days, 4 days in a row just because you're stressed out or you want to talk to people. Sometimes you gotta take it easy. And and then the basic things in life, because sometimes, and this probably is what many of you feel too, is that, listen, I'm doing all this, I have been like spending all this fucking hour doing blueprints on the computer or this and that. And then at the end of the day, what do I get? Like a penny, you know? I'm not talking about, how everybody should just basically play a lottery and hope for like the jackpot, right? But it also like makes me depressed sometimes. But this year, this is our career in engineering and even in some other careers that you don't really make money. That's the other thing, right? And I'm not saying money is everything, but like, financial satisfaction, right? That's important. And especially like someone like me who has had to go through fucking COVID. I mean, maybe at some point in time I got just so sick and tired with the situation, and I don't want to bring the fucking old like demons back of 2020, but at some point in time, I'm like, fuck this. This is what it is. If I'm gonna go under, then I'm gonna go under. But my sister and other people and friends in the industry, obviously, they're supporting me, they help me. And I gotta pay the bills. I gotta pay the bills, pay for whatever, car insurance and this and that, and pay for food. And obviously, am I talking basics here? Maybe I am. But if you are going to be doing that for the rest of your life, just imagine, that's why you need something like a hobby like golf. Golf is a therapy for me. But unfortunately, I can't play golf now, and that actually sucks too. But few months, hopefully a couple of months, this thing goes away. I'm hoping, you know, and I'll get back on the turf. Is there any other positive change I'm going to bring into my life after this? I don't know. Just again, just those 2 minute moments by myself. I think that actually is something that I want to make as a routine. I mean, I reflect. I mean, I talk shit on this podcast. But these days, especially, I'm sorry, maybe I sound sort of depressed, but because I haven't talked about like any like fucking anything else like science or what's happening, with space travel and this and that. There's really nothing happening, to be honest with you. And I don't want to fucking talk about politics. I understand this is election year, and I don't want to talk about politics because that's just not my cup of tea. And I mean, I listen to news. Yes, I do listen to news when I'm in my office, etc., etc., right? I mean, but I shut down all the fucking news at 6 o'clock after I come here. Yeah, so the podcast, they also talk about like, what's in the news and what, but the news is you want to shut down at 6 o'clock at night. Same shit. Um, the world is not going to come to an end this year. It's just, I'm just hoping that, my wife's visa situation happens. That's my priority, in addition to work being my priority. So, I don't know. Elon Musk is basically flying his biggest rocket to the Mars yet, because it's already 2024. Somebody saying that, somebody would actually land something on Mars, which would be more than just a rover, right? Or a small robot machine, right? That's gonna like study the fucking soil and send back pictures and videos, right? I get it. It's not an easy endeavor for humans, but we gotta get to the moon first, set up a base there, um, before we can set up a base on Mars. Because all these fucking years we wasted through like Cold War and everything else, right? Priorities changed. And then I think many people have said this. I said that on my podcast that somehow internet came and then the Google, the social media and all this came and everything else, like even space travel and all those things were pushed and nobody cared, you know, except for somebody like Elon Musk. He was like, fuck all this. But we got to progress in that line as well, because eventually this fucking planet, who the fuck knows what's going to happen, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not too much worried about like climate change or nuclear war. But the pandemic has actually, I think, opened our eyes to new realities, you know. So hopefully nothing blows up between now and the election or whenever in the near future. All right. And I'm not worried about like AI is going to take or what is it going to do? Nothing. Not at least in the next 5 years. Right. Hopefully, if anything, it will make our lives easier. The government like bureaucracies hopefully are resolved because government is so fucking slow in processing any applications, even like at the DMV, right? Everything is processed, by the AI or even immigration system. Right? In any case, so all right, everyone, that's my podcast, and I'm gonna watch something. I don't know what are there any fucking any shows, new shows? There's nothing. I don't think there's anything on TV. Netflix is fucking worse. Maybe I can find some movie because I haven't watched anything in the past like 3 days, to be honest with you. But in any case, so again, I presume you all are having a great start of the week. I'll see you all next month, weekend or Monday.